Dane, no!
Okay. Welcome back to the From the Fabricator podcast. I'm your host, Max Perlstein. It is great to be back once again this month with you. Thank you for joining me. We've got a great podcast. Again, 3 interesting, different sort of guests from different parts of our world, all bringing some interesting, unique perspective. So I'm looking forward to playing it all for everybody out there. Thank you so much for checking it out. As always, this podcast is brought to you by myglassclass.com, the ultimate learning tool for the glass and glazing industry, available 24/7, 365, myglassclass.com. Check it out. Made by the National Glass Association, made by people in the NGA and this industry for people in this industry. So you can count on that info and that training being correct and right on at all times. myglassclass.com. All right, enough of me talking. Let's get to our guests. We're going to kick things off this month with Joe Erb of Quanex, followed by a couple of interesting guys. Nico Sanchez of Solite Systems, first time meeting him, and then Charles Lubecke of Q-Railing to wrap things up. Here we go. Okay. To kick things off this month, I am thrilled to have Joe Erb, National Account Manager in Commercial Sales for Quanex. You can find them online at quanex.com. Great brand, and Joe, one of the easily one of the most respected people in our industry. So it's a big thrill for me to have you on the podcast. Joe, thanks for doing it.
Absolutely, Max. Wouldn't miss it. When you gave the invitation, I was honored and ecstatic to be able to get online here with you and just to talk about the industry. You and I have been around the block a couple of times. So
we have.
Thank you again for the invite.
My pleasure. And like I said, you definitely cut through a lot of different things because you're connected to so many different people. You have a unbelievable knowledge base, great company, the whole shoot match, and we'll cover all of that today. And it's just great that I can get you to talk and chop it up. So this is kind of a cool thing for me on every level. But I know you pretty well, but I know that there are parts of the industry that may not know you very well. So let's start with you and personally. Where'd you grow up and your path to this wild and wonderful industry we're in?
No, I appreciate that, Max. Yeah, it's been a wild ride for this industry. I started out, I've been a Buckeye all my life. I know that pains you to hear that, being from Michigan, but
Yep.
no, we've my wife and I have been in Ohio all of our life, raised 3 kids. We were talking earlier, and I'm empty nesting it right now, Max.
Amazing.
This is my first week as an empty nester. We've got 3 wonderful kids. Again, it's been a great industry to grow up in. And, I started out, went to university, engineering degree, Kent State. And then right out of that, really just jumped into this crazy ride of a fenestration industry that we're in. And haven't really looked back. It's been a lot of fun working for the company Quanex and EdgeTech prior to that, before Quanex acquired us in 2011. And 30 years almost of getting a chance to really meet some amazing people in this industry, getting involved in a lot of the associations early on. I was fortunate enough to be asked to step into that role and getting to know a lot of the folks in the industry through that. And so yeah, it's been a great ride.
And I didn't know you. It's funny. I didn't know you went to Kent. So that's new for me. And what's interesting is later on in the show, I have Charles Lubecke from Q-Railing who went to Ball State. So, and I went to Ohio. So we got a little MAC conference thing going on here. I screwed up with our other guest, Nico. He didn't go to any MAC schools, so he's kind of left out on this. But I didn't know you went to Kent. And so that's news for me. And there are quite a few Kent players in our industry too, so that's nice to see that you're there and you were able to take it and you were at EdgeTech, and then at EdgeTech, like you said, bought by Quanex. Quanex is an incredible company, and you're a big part of it, and you've learned and grown quite a bit while you were there.
Oh, it's been great. The company's been great. The culture here is wonderful. Again, 29 going on 30 years here, and you don't stay if you're not having a great time and love what you're doing. And got the fortunate opportunity to start at the ground floor when we opened up our facility in Cambridge. Six or so of us starting out down there, getting right out on the ground floor operations and managing a production line, and then moving into the technical aspects of the company. managing tech services team, and
Nice.
moved from there into more of the technical capacity, the national account management, and really it was this job that has opened my eyes to the world and all that's happening out there. I never really traveled a lot until I started with the company, and since then 23, 24 countries under the belt in most of the states, and it's been great meeting a lot of wonderful, much smarter people than me. But again, surround yourself with great people and great things can happen. So,
No doubt, no doubt, and you do get around. There's no question. I'm always impressed with your travel schedule and how active you are. So let's talk about the market overall, the products, and one of the things that you've always been passionate about, and that's the one of the 20 different items that I like about you, the traits about you, is that you are passionate about improving what we have out in the marketplace. And we're going to talk about us stepping up as an industry to provide it, but high performance products, are we pushing, are we finally getting over that hump? Obviously Quanex is known for its spacer and other products that are in that high performance realm, and you were on the front line of that before people would even consider putting in higher performing sort of products. Are we finally over that hump and really rolling forward with good products for our IGUs and our systems overall?
I think we are, Max, and I think it depends on where you're at in this whole process from an industry, whether it's here, over in Europe, or anywhere else in the world. I think and even if you look at residential versus commercial, the residential market, as you probably know, I know we both work and live in the commercial space, but I've had a chance to work on both sides of that aisle, if you will. And residential has been earlier adopters of a lot of the warm edge technologies. Some of that's probably driven by necessity. I mean, part of it's necessity, the Energy Star and things like that drove it. But I think there's also, the opportunity for, in residential, the homeowner is the purchaser of those products. Where
Right.
in commercial, you've got a little more risk averse market, and you've got bigger buildings. You've got a lot of things where people are a little less likely to jump into something brand new, and a lot of times the owner is not the one living in that building. And
Right.
I hate to say that, but sometimes that is a
It's true.
motivator as well.
Yeah.
But I think to your question, Max, I really do think we are at a point in the states here, especially where there isn't a lot of question that warm edge is here to stay. I
Right.
think that higher performance framing technologies are here to stay, and I think our industry brings a lot of that in proven products. That's just a matter of taking it mainstream now, and so
And,
it's exciting to be there.
I'm thrilled for you because this has been something that you've worked on for so many years,
Mhm.
and you talking about chopping at the wood, just chopping and chopping and chopping. I give you a lot of credit for hanging in there, because you had to, our industry is very slow to change. And like you had said on the commercial side, architects, they, at least in the US versus Europe, are not, hungry to be those early adopters at all.
Mhm.
And so that's why I had to ask, are we over that hump yet? Because you personally have, I mean, I'm talking years of you
Mhm.
really singing the praises of, we got to move to this. This is a product that we have to have, whether it is the warm edge technology in the spacer or the other, framing products. So you got to feel pretty good that we're finally getting over that hump.
It is. It's rewarding to see that. And Max, we're, from Quanex's perspective, I mentioned having traveled the globe. We are selling our products and proven technologies in, I would say, 90 plus countries in
Wow.
the world. And
Wow.
that same high performance technology has been and is available and been proven in other markets that, I think maybe some of those markets adopted it earlier because the pain points, that
That's
whether
a good
it's
point.
labor, whether
Yeah.
it's the energy codes, whether it's, we're motivated by things that are either pain points or by an overwhelming value proposition, right? And I think some of those countries where our products have been proven, have really been able to demonstrate how the product does make a difference. And stateside, we're feeling a lot of those same pressure and pain points now with the energy codes, the cost of energy, labor. I mean, you and I both know labor
Yeah.
is a huge issue right now. And so I think all of these have come together and really driven our industry to recognize that there are real and tangible benefits that can be had through the performance of the products, but also in the way that those products are put together, whether it's the framing, the IGs with automated lines that take the reduction of labor, but still produce higher quality, higher output. Those are all things that I think as owners, operators of companies producing high performance windows and doors and curtain walls and glass and glazing, they're looking for those solutions right now. And unfortunately, so far, our industry has really been able to step up and bring that to the table.
Needed that, and finally to get to that point. And again, I'm with Joe Erb, National Account Manager, Commercial Sales at Quanex. Check them out at quanex.com for their full range and incredible range of products. The one thing again that I like about what you've always brought to the table is that you always respected the facility, the operational side of things. Like you would have a new product, but you also knew that product had to get into the plant and work correctly and be efficient. And so that made, sense. And so, I mean, you've been able to do that. Now, next steps on technical areas, what else are we possibly missing and not focusing on? I think we're finally over the hump in some areas, like I mentioned, but what else do we need to be focusing on as an industry to get better at?
I think one of the areas that we're really challenged with right now have been for a while with the pandemic. Working through the legacy challenges of that, the labor, that has really been a challenge for us. Getting not just people to come to work in the factories, getting people to install these products out onto the building, but I think engaging others to recognize what our industry has to offer. I think that to me is one of the big challenges of our day. Getting the younger generation to recognize that there is a good career to be had in this industry. We've got a lot of, you and I know a number of guys that have retired over the last 3 to 5 years, that there's a lot of knowledge that is probably out, doing a lot of things that retired folks do that I don't know much about yet, but
Me
hopefully
too.
get there someday. But those guys are moving on, and that leaves a void for us. And I think we've got to continue to do our best to foster a culture that really gets people engaged in our industry and gets to learn what we have to offer while we still have those around that are bringing the experience along with the advancements in the new technology. I think that's the critical crux we're at right now is bringing that experience and that desire for new technologies together, so we get the best of those both worlds with the next generation that's going to take us some great places and build some great buildings.
No doubt. You're dead on. I got to focus on that next generation. Got to get them up there and get them trained. And especially on the technical side, I think partly on the technical side, you just need those years of experience. But right now we're in a world where there's not a lot of patience, for that. But we still have to develop it, because that brain drain is real and a little bit concerning. How about Quanex? Let's talk and switch over to the focus on your company. Anything new and exciting coming down the pike? The one thing about you guys, you're always innovating, never stopping, always innovating. Anything new to be aware of that Quanex is putting out?
As you know, Max, we've always kind of been known for our warm edge spacer technology, but there's so much more to Quanex. As I continue to add years and as I get to know more of our individual business units and divisions that we have amongst us, there's so much more that we have available. I think recently we've also seen a shift in how we think of ourselves. I think we've always been great at extruding products, whether it's the vinyl extrusions for commercial framing or it's extrusions for making warm edge spacers. We have a lot of core capabilities that we're really starting to focus on, because that's what next generation technologies are really going to require: companies that have the ability to take core competencies and capabilities and develop those into products. But our focus is really on our capabilities and what we can bring to the marketplace. And you've probably seen it if you've been out on our website. You've seen the part of something bigger is a new brand name and a tagline, and it's so much more than a tagline, Max. I mean, this is a message that I have felt this from the beginning when I was EdgeTech, is that
Yep.
we all play an important part, whether we're taking orders or whether we're out on the factory floor, whether we're running the company. All of us play an important part, but our products play an important part in solving challenges for our customers, and that in turn solves problems for consumers. And so we're all part of this, and all of us have got to do our part to make it all be successful. And I think that's one of the things you'll see with Quanex as we move forward, is a shift in some of the focus of our core capabilities, because there are some, there's some really cool new and innovative technologies that are coming out as well. Can't talk a lot about those right now. Maybe come to Glass Build, see some of that. But
There you go.
it's exciting where we're at, and it's also exciting where the industry is at, and where we're taking bringing some really neat things. Again, based on necessity, based on where some of the codes are driving us, but based on the availability of some of the technologies that let us do some really unique things with glass and glazing in the building.
Can't wait. Can't wait. We'll talk a little bit about Glass Build momentarily. And I just love the focus, and I love the new, branding and the focus. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And we as an industry appreciate that. I mean, Quanex has been a great, since, EdgeTech was a tremendous company with great people, and yourself included. And then I think Quanex has fit right in very, very, seamlessly and just kept on growing and growing and doing it the right way. And a great supporter of our industry. Things like Glass Build. I'm always grateful for you and the Quanex team for always supporting.
Well, and Max, one of the exciting things is that we're not done with acquisitions. As you know, we just recently had the LMI was a recent acquisition, and that's just yet another one of the core capabilities that we've invested in, because we know polymers and we know technologies like that. But when we invest in companies like the now Quanex Custom Mixing, that's going to allow us to open doors to not only enhance existing product lines that we have, but open up other sectors of the market that I think there's some really exciting times ahead for where we're going to go, and look forward to sharing those as we can.
I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. So I'm with Joe Erb, National Account Manager, Commercial Sales at Quanex, Quanex.com. You can check out everything we've been talking about on that website. I'm going to switch it up a little bit, a fun one. Joe, as some of you may or may not know, is a world-class runner. He runs everywhere he goes. So if he's been to what you said, 30 or 40 different countries in every different state, he's run in all of those places and had a nice run. And so I'm curious. So I was formulating this blog when I was out running. I was thinking, I wonder what the craziest thing that has ever happened to Joe on a run. And so I'll preface this by saying, for me lately, it's been dogs lately. They're coming out of the woodwork at me. Every time I'm out, especially when I'm in Florida, there's no electric fences in Florida. There are no fences in Florida. These dogs just come out of the woodwork to chase me down the street. And I'm scared to death at this point. Even though I have 5 dogs at home, I'm still scared of every dog that chases me. Joe, craziest thing that's happened to you on one of your many, many runs?
Well, you kind of started it out with world class runner, and I'm not sure about that part. I guess the world part, yes, I've traveled and ran the world, but
there you go.
The dogs are definitely a scary thing, and I've had a couple of those incidences running New York City and crossing some of the streets there. Cars, had a couple of close calls there that get a little scary, but in all seriousness, though, the running part of it, it's fun and it's exciting. For me, though, it's being able to experience where you're at, whether it's New Zealand, whether it's Japan, China, Germany, or anywhere here in the U.S. Being able to see the architecture and see the culture of the people and the place you're at from your feet versus an Uber ride or a cab, or going from airport to hotel, it changes your perspective of the culture and the people that you're working with, and you can get up and close and personal. I know a couple of our industry folks, they do that a lot. They're out there and they're video and capturing a lot of the buildings that we do out there and the glass and all that we do. So for me, that's where the running part is really enjoyable, and it lets me somewhat stay in shape so I can eat the food that I love to eat as well when I'm in these places. So
you're good.
A lot of fun.
You're good. And I like the fact that you brought up about running in different countries, because Dusseldorf, with going to Glass Tech, for me, especially this last time, because I think I was in the best shape of my life this last time. And I went off for a run, and I had a specific kind of distance and timing in mind, but I was so taken by, as I'm running down the Rhine and I'm looking at everything. I mean, I went way, way further than I planned. way further, because
Uh,
I got lost in it, even though I had some music in the headphones. But it was just seeing everything, and you're right. You pass it in a cab, and it might be neat to see, but it's one thing to pass it when you can touch it, sort of thing. And I ran
oh,
way
I've
too long, way too long.
been there.
But so yeah, so know the
I've
feeling.
been there.
And that's what I thought
Yeah.
about when you're telling running through New Zealand. I'd do the same thing. I would just get caught up in it. So it's pretty cool.
I don't know, Max. You probably don't appreciate this, but you are some of the motivation for me doing some of the running. And if your audience doesn't mind, and if they're on video, I don't
Yes,
know if you remember the shirt,
I
the
love it.
the shirts that don't stop running. It's a great motivation. And again, I think it's whether it's running, whether it's swimming, whether it's anything else. I mean, if you can enjoy that if you are out and about, when you're doing that as part of your work travel, I encourage it. As you have found, it's a great way to engage with those that you're working with in that area. Um, but no, thanks for bringing up the
You bet.
fun one. And yeah, watch out for the dogs.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. You keep it up. You're my inspiration too, because you never stop. That's for sure. A couple more questions for the great Joe Erb of the National Account Manager and Commercial Sales at Quanex, Quanex.com. So you're a blogger as well. That's something we have in common. We
Yes, sir.
both post blogs. You post blogs, and you have articles actually in the physical magazine. It's got to be kind of tough. I mean, you're again, you're just an empty nester like a week ago. I mean, so you had a family that you were dealing with, you had all this work, and then you're blogging and writing columns for different publications, doing the technical thing. But let's talk about the writing. Where do you get that inspiration to post these tremendous pieces that I've read up on the different magazine websites? What's driving you there?
I'm flattered, Max. But thanks for recognizing. And I'm like you. I think I've got an incredible passion for this industry and the people that we work with, and quite frankly, that's the motivation. We talked a little bit about the culture and the need for getting the next generation involved and engaged. There's weeks and months where the well's a little dry, and you're working looking for content, as you know. But really, that's what motivates me, is looking for topics that are relevant, that are real world, that are tangible. Somebody wants to put it that I want to write in a way that if it's a plant manager and we're talking about things at the plant floor, if it's somebody dealing with an installation challenge, they feel comfortable with what I'm writing, that they can rip it out of a magazine for those that still read the hard copy,
Yeah.
and post it on a bulletin board somewhere, or maybe send it out on social media, because it has a couple of key things they felt their people could learn from. And I guess I look for ways to write about things that will help myself and our industry get better, and provide solutions that really make a difference. And again, that comes, maybe part of that's from the 29, 30 years of experience, and being surrounded with some great people, and just having an ear for what we're needing, and try to write about things that they'll make a difference. So
You keep it up, my friend. I definitely enjoy it, and
thank you.
your blogs, I believe, are on US Glass and usglass.com, and then you have columns that appear over in Glass Magazine. So
Hmm.
you're everywhere, and I love it. So let's keep that rolling. All right. So wrapping up, because I know you're a busy man, I appreciate you jamming me into your schedule. Glass build, and that's something you've been to quite a few times. I've been quite a few times,
Yeah.
wearing different color shirts because our companies had changed names or something like that. So but I think you're one of the people who get it. You get the fact that glass build plays a role. So talk to me about why you have had such success at glass build, and then Quanex is a massive, massive, important player in the middle of the show every year, because they are so good and your company is so good and such a supporter. Talk a little bit about the whole glass build experience for you and Quanex.
No, you said it. I think I've been to, glass build since it started. I mean, from the
Right.
beginning, and it has and for Quanix as well. We've been a major contributor there. But for me, it's important. For us, it's important because it's an opportunity. And our customers know us, but it's an opportunity to get together, whether it's your peers, your current partners, or your prospects that you're working on. It's about showcasing our products, of course. Don't get me wrong. I mean, having a
Hmm.
booth, being able to showcase the latest and greatest in our capabilities and processes, it's an absolute must to be there, to see that, for others to see that, engage as they're looking for what's going to take their company to the next level. We believe that Quanix has those types of solutions that help them get there. But personally, I think there's so much more to glass build than just the products. The products are vitally important, but networking with your peers, partners, and prospects, and then just being able to build on your knowledge. I mean, the conversations and the networking that take place at Glass Build over the years, whether you knew, I remember the first time coming into the industry and getting to my first glass show, and being mentored by someone that had been around for a while. Walking around and talking about, back then it was what a thermal break is, or what
Right.
what this window or that curtain wall was, or what this component does to go into this system and why it makes a difference. I mean, it was just a sponge taking it all in, and Glass Build is one of those places where you can do that. Bring your new hires, those that are going to be up and coming, get them out there to get to see the competition, get them to see the new technologies, and motivate them to really get engaged. I think it's all of those things, Max. It really, there's a lot of opportunity, and we're excited about being there again this year. I think there's there's going to be some surprises
Great.
at the booth. You guys will have to come out and check out.
I will.
I was told I cannot talk about it, and you guys have to come see it. So there's your
Yeah.
driver to get out and see it. It's really going to be a great show. Again, Atlanta, it's going to be a good time. There's always a lot of folks there, and we'll have our full team there to support the capabilities and the products that we'll be bringing to the table.
Yeah, and I think the nice thing is the attitude that you guys have is, yes, pretty much everybody knows who Quanex is. They know what you probably have, but yet your booth is always packed, and I always see you and the team, showing different things to people. So it's not like, we can all keep up on it, every day, every single day. This is a great chance to go there, touch and feel the product, and you set it up beautifully in that great booth. And then you can grab the person and sit down and have a pop and talk through it. And I think that that's why it's such a nice approach that you and the team have taken every year.
We appreciate it, Max, and really do look forward to seeing you there in person. It's always great catching up with you. I hope you'll stop by. I'll show you
Oh,
some of the new things we're working on, and
I,
yeah, it's going
I
to be a great time.
I will be there for sure. I will not miss it. And my friend, thank you so much for doing the podcast. I've had Joe Erb, the national account manager, commercial sales for Quanex, on here. Check them out at quanex.com. See them at Glass Build. You do not want to miss them at Glass Build. It's always middle of the show floor. Can't miss it. It's a beautiful booth, green and white, great colors of my alma mater, Ohio University. Beautiful booth. And Joe, thank you so much for doing it. I look forward to seeing you in person in a couple months.
My pleasure, Max. Thank you.
Okay, next up on the From the Fabricator podcast, this is a completely, I think this might be the most unique situation I've ever had on the podcast. I've got Nico Sanchez, president of Solite Systems, LLC. Find them online at Solite Systems. That's SOLITE Systems, all one word, .com. Find them online there. This is where it's interesting. I have only talked to Nico via LinkedIn very briefly. I don't know anything about his company. So where I've had people on my podcast before that I didn't know, I knew their companies, I knew what they did. I don't know anything about either. So we're all going to learn together. I'm fascinated by what I learned a little bit by looking at Nico's website and chatting a little bit with him on LinkedIn. So now we're going to really chop it up for the next little bit on the podcast. Nico, thank you so much for doing the pod.
No, thank you. Happy to be here.
It's awesome to have you.
Great.
Let's start with you. I mean, you personally, I always like to get to know everybody that I talk to, and part of it is just being a serial networker too. I love to talk to people.
I can tell from LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly. Getting to know people. So tell me, where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school, and how'd you end up in our crazy building space?
So I was born and raised in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Okay.
I'm 42 years old as of about a week and a half ago.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you. 17th actually.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, what really brought me to this market is, I've been in glass and glazing for about 14 years.
Okay.
Started off as a CAD draftsman,
Okay.
oddly enough. And then kind of worked my way up through there. Started manager's positions, and actually I developed my own, it was like a whole division for architectural panels and things, and just kind of worked my way up and learned everything I could about the business before I started this venture. And like I said, about 14 years doing it.
Nice.
It's been quite a journey.
No doubt. So you were born in Worcester. Did you live there your entire life, or how'd you get around? Because you're in Florida now, correct?
No, actually. So my phone number is from Florida.
Okay.
But no, I'm in Rhode Island. I grew up in in Worcester, and actually a little small town right next to Worcester, which is Holden.
Okay.
No one really know about Holden, but so I grew up there, and it was probably 10 years ago. I moved down to Rhode Island area, and
Okay.
then we moved down to Florida for a couple years, and had to move back here. But now I'm back here in Rhode Island, so been here for about
See, I
5
was
years.
not joking that I knew nothing. I thought you lived in Florida. So it was all off the phone number. So there you go. So,
Right.
all right.
So I
So,
got the
yeah.
I got the phone number, and then I never changed it.
All right, nothing wrong with that. All right, so now let's move over to Solite. Talk to me about what you built, what it is, how it fits in our world. Because again, I think you'll explain it better than me, especially when I still thought you lived in Florida. That shows you how good my research is.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Solite. I'm very curious.
So the reason you haven't really, seen my business around is because it's fairly new.
Okay.
Okay. So it was probably late last year when I started getting into it, and started really digging in. Um, so basically, Solite is an interior glazing company.
Okay.
So we do demountable wall partitions. We do sliding glass doors, operable walls, things like that.
Sure.
And so it was about a year ago. I had a great idea, and I was doing some STC testing
Right.
down in Intertech. And when I was down there, I was talking to those guys, and I said, what's the craziest system you've ever seen? What performed the best? And those guys were like, well, there's some good systems that get really high ratings. They have, XYZ for features, but no one has all those features combined.
Okay.
And me, with my engineering background, I'm schooled as a mechanical engineer. So my engineer brain goes, I'm going to go design that system that's got all those components within it. So I did. And then, it took me probably about, I'd say 4 or 5 months to get the system solid. Because, I'm an engineer, so I had to make sure every little piece and component fit perfectly. Sure. And it worked and functioned the way I wanted it to. I made 3D prints first before anything. And, I was putting them all together and making everything work. And, before I went full production. But it's been quite a process. The biggest thing that I want to make sure I could get, which is very difficult in this space, is a patent.
Okay.
So I went out and I got a utility patent. I talked to patent lawyers and everyone, and they all said it's very difficult. You have to be so different, and everything needs to be completely new to get a patent. So I went out and I did it. I got a utility patent. And
congrats. That is an effort, because patents aren't easy to begin with, and then when you talk about a space like you're in, it's even harder. So
right.
Kudos to you. So you're in the demountable, the interior office setup, and one of your big plays is the acoustical. I assume that was one of the XYZ things that you wanted to check off, because I know when you're talking about the interior systems, the biggest complaint everybody has is the acoustics. And it sounds like you've solved that.
I believe I did. I went and did testing on my own material. It was what was it? It was June when I went out there to test, and everything tested phenomenally.
Wonderful.
So all my double glaze stuff. I'm not sure if you're familiar with STC ratings and things like that.
Yes.
Nothing. So my lowest score was a 52,
wow.
which is very good, and that's with 1/2-inch glass.
That's great. That's great.
So,
yeah, no, you go ahead. You've got something here. I like this.
I was saying all that hard work and engineering paid off,
Okay, so I like this. So I'm with Nico Sanchez, president of Solite Systems. Check them out at solitesystems.com. That's SOLITESYSTEMS, solitesystems.com. And so, it's interesting. You're in a pretty good space, a little bit of a challenging space, obviously, because of the office issues, and that's probably where a lot of your work comes from. But you are in a niche sort of space. You're a relatively new company, from what I'm picking up. How are you getting your word out there? I mean, it's great that you're on this podcast, and I know you're active on LinkedIn. But what else are you doing to try to spread the word, so people know that you've got this incredible this incredible system with just absolutely dazzling STC numbers?
So the next thing that I did once I started was I knew I needed marketing.
Gotcha.
So I hired a phenomenal marketing person, and she does amazing work. It's kind of out of my realm of the graphic design portion of it. Like, I can do it a little bit, but
Right.
so I wanted to make sure I hired someone who is like, a superstar in that area.
Good.
And she for sure is. Actually, the first thing she did was overhaul my entire website.
There you go.
She's like, "Oh, we gotta change your website," and I was like, "Oh, geez, sorry."
And listen to the marketing people. I know you engineer types think you can market, but listen to the marketing people. They know what they're doing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right. And yeah, so we're doing email blasts and contacting, everyone I can think of. Like, I went through my entire phone and I was like, all right, who did I know, way back 10 years ago, and reached out to them. Hey, seeing what they're doing, and promoting on LinkedIn, and I have an RCAT account. I'm not sure if
Okay.
you're familiar with them.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yep. So I have all my stuff is on RCAT, which, a lot of people are doing downloads from there.
Good.
I'm just everything I can to get out there.
Yeah. And so, and how long has Solite been in business? Because that's the one thing I didn't look up. How long have you been in
So
business?
we officially, I officially got my LLC in January of this year.
Okay.
But obviously it takes time to get things going,
Yep.
product manufacturing and all that stuff. It wasn't until about April when I finally opened doors and said, all right, let's go, it's go time.
And now you're rolling. I like this. It's exciting. Nico Sanchez of Solite Systems. All right, going to mix it up a little bit. A fun one, as I'm getting to know you a little bit better. So it's kind of a two-part question. What famous person would you love to have dinner with? And who is the most famous person you think you've ever met? And as I wrote you on this, I met Shaquille O'Neal once in passing. It was just, he was. I've met a few famous people along the way, but to me, he's the most famous, and obviously the tallest, and one that stood out the most. How about you? Which who would you like to have dinner with, and who's the most famous?
So I this is a tough question. Like,
Yeah.
when I got your list of questions, I was like, oh man, who would I like to have dinner with? Like, so many people out there. I'm thinking like presidents of the United States, maybe, or like, but the one person that really kind of comes to mind,
Yeah.
and I might get a little bit of slack for this, but Elon Musk. I would
Oh
love to
my.
meet.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Um, I've seen a lot of videos that he's in, and interviews that he's done. He seems hilarious and funny, and
He's a different cat, that's for sure. And I mean, the
right,
guy's brilliant, and you being an
for
engineer,
sure.
him being an engineer, you two probably could have the same language. I could see this.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I love it. He'd probably make you change your name to X Solite, something like that, because he loves
Yeah,
that X in there, either whether it's
right.
SpaceX or anything. But that's awesome. Very cool. And then
I
who
mean,
have you run into
just
in
the
your life?
things he
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I
Finish
was
your
saying,
Elon. Yeah.
just the things he does. Like, I mean, the models of his Tesla,
Yep.
they spell out sexy. I mean, like, who does that? Like,
Yeah. He is creative.
yeah, right.
He is brilliant, but he is definitely polarizing because of the approaches that he takes. But I mean, when you look at SpaceX and you look at Tesla, it's hard to
Sure.
argue. How great he
And
is.
he's doing a lot, for the environment and things like that. And
Yep.
I'm definitely behind that and on board with that. Like, energy and
Yeah.
sustainability, like, those are all huge things on my mind too.
Good choice. Good choice. Good choice. And have you run into anybody famous in your life? Who's the most
So
famous?
so when I was younger,
Yeah.
I was in the band scene, and I was a musician. I was
Okay.
actually the singer of a band, and over the course of that time, I met quite a few famous musicians. I
Nice.
think probably, not really my genre of music, but I met Eminem.
Detroit, my
He's
guy. Okay, he's one of my guys. I love it.
yeah.
How was he?
I
I'm
met
curious. Was he a decent guy, or I mean, I'm curious.
um he was very quick to,
Okay.
he said hello, and it was a very quick meeting. I didn't really get to, meet with him too long, but you know, as a shake hands kind of thing.
Nice.
Other people I've met, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but Dimebag Daryl, I met him. He's a guitar player for a heavier metal band,
Yeah.
Pantera.
Pantera, right?
Yeah, I met what's his name, Tony Hawk. I met
Oh
him.
wow, skateboarder.
He's
Yep.
just like you. He's very tall. I mean,
I love it. I love it. This is good. What sort of music did your band play? I'm big into this because we got Carl Chris from DFI, who was in a band for years, the Medflies. What sort of music did you play?
so it was heavier stuff.
Okay. Okay.
You
Very
know,
cool.
I was the singer. I did a lot of screaming, a lot of singing. You know, back when I was younger, of course.
I like it. I like it. We'll have to get you hooked up with Carl, and we could have a glass industry a band here with some of the talent that we have. Katie
So
Devlin from Glass Magazine's a hell of a talent too. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. So one of the promotional ideas I had,
Yeah.
and I don't think I'll be able to do it this year, but was to get my wall set up in some sort of you know, like a trade show or something.
Right.
Like, so set up an enclosure for my stuff and put a band inside of it, because
Nice.
I get such high SDC ratings. Hopefully no one will be able to hear what's going on inside. You
Yeah.
know,
Hey, that's
and just have,
that's
you know, band rocking out,
yeah.
playing drums and guitar, and you know.
That's putting your money where your mouth is. I see Glassville 2024 in Dallas. I think that's going to be a
Yeah,
possibility there for you. I like that idea, and
for
that's a good way
sure.
to show it. It's a great way to show the acoustical ability and
Right.
also your musical stylings too. I love it. Very
Yeah.
cool. That was
I don't
cool.
know
And
if I would play in it, but
I like it. I like it. And I live in Detroit. I'm a big Eminem guy just because of being here in Detroit, and so very
sure.
cool that you met him and like the rest of it. Very good stuff. Good stuff. Again, Nico Sanchez from Solite Systems is my guest. He's the president of the company. Find them at Solite, and Solite is spelled Solite systems.com. I love this from what I saw. One of your pillars is patience, the word patience. It's
Yes.
my
Yeah.
dad's favorite word. So it hit me there. So that was pretty cool. Where did that come about for you? And how does that relate to you and Solite?
So where that kind of came in is like I said before, I've been in the business for 14 years. So patience is a big thing. And I'm seeing it more and more on the business owner end,
Yeah.
you know, being patient with customers, patient with, you know, other vendors. And, you know, although sometimes it can be a little tough,
Yeah.
but being able to have that patience, like if a customer comes to me and says, oh, they want, you know, my system, but they want it powder coated this color, and then I get that all set up, and then they're like, oh no, we changed our mind, or the architect changed their mind, they want to see it this color. You know, it's something you got to have, is patience with these people. You can't just assume that, you know, the job's going to be set in stone and done right off the bat, and
Sure.
you know.
Sure. And in our world, nothing ever happens A, as fast as you want it to, and B,
Right.
as smooth and clean as you hope it will. There is
Right,
that.
of
So
course.
patience means a lot. And I like it. You know, it's rare to be a startup, you know, like you are, and also be able to preach patience, because you feel, I'm sure you feel that internal pressure. You want to go, and you want to push it. And I'm sure you've
Sure.
got your neck out on the line, but you know, you're also
Yeah.
being realistic of, okay, we gotta, we gotta do it right, and we gotta do it the best we can, because you don't get a second chance to make that first impression.
Right. And that's the thing. Like before, I started in January, and I waited 4 months before I even, you know, put out any kind of post or anything. Um, you know, so patience is a big thing.
Good.
And I have, you know, about right now, about $250,000 into this business. So, um,
Yeah.
you
So
gotta make it work, right?
yep, and you will. You will. I like this. I like your attitude. So speaking of, you've put the money into the business. How are things looking like right now? I mean, again, you're still early on, but what are you looking for 2024? How's your backlog coming along? What are you feeling like right now?
So I've been very fortunate actually so far. So it's only been a few months, and we have 3 jobs that are secured, you know,
Okay.
POs and deposits, and you know, so it's looking really well. You know, my hope is to be at $1 million by the end of this year.
Okay.
And then, you know, another hope, I guess, is 3 to 5 million within the next, you know, 2 or 3 years.
Sure. Sure.
Um, and it's going very well. I mean, I have no complaints.
Okay. And how do are you going to business with manufacturers reps? How are you reaching the masses that way?
Right now, just marketing,
Okay. Just straight guerrilla
just,
marketing. Okay.
yeah,
Gotcha.
exactly.
Gotcha.
Meeting
Okay.
as many people as I can, phone calls, sending out email blasts.
Okay. Good, good. Just checking in on that. All right. So before I wrap up, I'm with Nico Sanchez, president of Solite Systems. Find them online, solitesystems.com. Will I see you at Glassfield in Atlanta? I know you're a busy man. Are you going to sneak to Atlanta in October, and I get to meet you in person, and then you get to work the room a little bit?
So I'm definitely going to be there.
Yeah.
So I was looking at having a booth. I think I might be a little late to the game to get a booth. Um, Also, it's I think it's about 20 grand to get down there and have a booth and all that stuff. But so definitely their booth is
Good.
still kind of up in the air.
Yeah, I think at this date, you getting there, I think, is the crucial thing. Booth
Right.
might not be might not have your best interest in mind with not a lot of
Right.
time left. It's going to be in October. It's going to be here before you know it. But you being there you've got to look, Nico. We're going to pick you right out of the crowd. So you don't look like the rest of us in this industry, like with the bald head.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
good.
you got the tats. You're looking good. The ink's working for you. So uh,
That's
so
all from the band days too.
I'm assuming it's not from the glass industry for sure.
I got it
I
everywhere. So
love it. I love it. No, I look forward to meeting you at Glassfield, and I think it's important that you're there and you're able to spend some time networking and getting involved in the education and just work in the room. Work
for
in the
sure.
room. So that'll be good to
Yep.
have you there.
And I was in Vegas last year and it was
Okay.
fantastic. It was a great time, and I'm hoping Atlanta will be just as fun.
Yeah, no, Atlanta will be good. Atlanta, yeah, because I believe you've never been to a show in Atlanta, correct?
Not in
Glassfield.
Atlanta,
Okay,
no.
yeah. So the vibes are different. The Vegas show is usually a little bit more loosey goosey and fun because people like to go
Yeah.
have fun in Vegas. Atlanta show is definitely the more of the hardcore. I want to learn. I want to buy. I want to build my supply chain.
Good.
I want to network. So where you're at in your process, it's perfect for you of wanting to just keep growing and strengthening what you've got going on. So
Yeah.
wonderful.
I can't wait. It
Well,
should be fun.
I look forward to it. It will be a priority of mine to meet you there in person. And after this podcast, you're going to get recognized by a few people. I can promise you that. So maybe that'll help the business. So, but
Yeah, you
I
can also
yeah,
you'll
go
also
ahead.
be able to see me if you, yeah, maybe you won't be able to see them, but I do tend to wear crazy socks.
Love it. Love it. Love it. We all have our we
So
all have our things. I love it. That's cool. So look for the socks. Nico Sanchez, Solite Systems. Interesting business. Fresh and ready, demountables, interior systems, super high acoustic performance. So, with the return to the office sort of thing going on and people wanting privacy, this changes the game a little bit on the interior office setup. And good for you. I'm excited to see what happens. Yeah, you got to be pretty pumped about what you're bringing to market.
oh, I'm very excited about it, and everyone I speak to is very excited about it.
Wonderful.
Specifically when I mentioned what the STC ratings we got, they're like, "Really, you got a in the 50s?"
Yeah,
So I'll bring up STC to a potential customer, and they'll say, "Yeah, do you have anything in the like 45 range?" And I was like, 45.
it's nothing. That's child's play. I love it.
Right.
I love it. Well, check out
Yeah.
what he has at solitesystems.com and get to see him walking around at Glassfield. And Nico, thank you so much for doing the pod. Look forward to getting to know you
Thank
over
you.
the years. This has been great.
Yeah, I'm going to be here for a while, so
Fantastic. I love it. May have you back again sometime. Talk about your successes. This is super. Thank you so much.
absolutely.
Thank
Great.
you.
Work in the glass or fenestration industry? Build your team, business, and livelihood by attending the biggest industry event of the year, Glass Build America. Join your peers, prospects, and competitors in Atlanta October 31st through November 2nd for the ultimate business building and networking event, Glass Build America. Learn more and register at glassbuild.com. That's glassbuild.com. Register for free using promo code POD.
Okay. Next up on the From the Fabricator podcast, I am thrilled to be joined by Charles Lubecke, the Director of Marketing and Project Solutions at Q-Railing. You can find them online at www.q-railing.com, also www.q-na.com. Charles, thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to have a conversation and see where it goes today.
Awesome. Absolutely. Absolutely. A big fan of Q. We'll talk a little bit about glass build and some other things that you specifically have been pretty dominant in. But let's start with you and your path to the glass industry. It's interesting. Before we got on, I said, you're director of marketing. You've added more responsibility. You're part of the U.S. leadership team for Q-Railing. But let's talk about your past. Where'd you grow up? How did you end up getting in the glass and glazing world?
So it's a little bit of a long path, so to speak.
Okay.
I actually I'm from the Midwest. I'm a Midwesterner. I was born and raised in the suburbs of Chicago,
Okay.
which is one of the architectural meccas, I personally think, in the world.
Yeah.
I went to college at Ball State University, and
Ball
I
State Cardinals,
actually,
the MAC.
yep,
Yeah, you're a
yep,
MAC
you
guy. I
got it.
like that. Okay.
Yeah, yep. And I actually started out as just a sole major in architecture.
Okay.
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 And then my father, who had always been in the building trade and was a general contractor, got me an internship at an architectural firm that he was doing a building.
Okay.
And I interned there, and I realized what it meant to really practice architecture. And I'm a really outgoing individual. I
Hmm.
really like to get out and meet people and everything. And when I went to architecture school, the first few weeks, people said, "Well, why are you here?" Everyone said, "Well, what brought you to architecture?" And I had two visions that I wanted to pursue. The first was to be an architectural marketer,
Okay.
or to go into building law,
Ooh,
go
okay.
to law school after I
Sure.
went through architecture school. And I realized that architecture was only a small snippet of the bigger picture that I wanted to do in life after I did that internship at the architecture firm. I said, I want to do more than sit down and just draw details and do buildings. I want to go out there and meet people and sell this to people. And so what I did was I went and I changed my major, and I ended up pursuing a major in business administration with a focus in marketing and channel management. And I still pursued and finished out my architecture degree, my
Okay.
4-year
Okay.
architecture degree. And ironically, going through the interview process and exiting college, I had no intention of going back to the architectural industry
Sure. Sure.
whatsoever. I had interviews with, believe it or not, paper cells, paper company, banks,
Yeah.
clothing companies, a whole faceted bunch of different companies that I had offers with and was pursuing as my future in sales, really.
Sure. Sure.
And so the gentleman that I interned for actually called my father and said, "Have Charles give me a call.
Okay.
And I want him to come see me when he's in town next." And so, just being open minded, I said, "I'm going to go listen to him." And he said, "I know that you changed your major, and I know that you don't want to do architecture,
Right.
but I have always wanted an architectural marketer, somebody who understands what we do and can communicate it in a very meaningful way to our customers."
Right.
Right?
Right.
He said, "I have one deal for you, though. You have to sit on the boards for 3 years before you get to go sell.
Oh, wow.
Because when you go sell, I want you to be able to respond to someone and say, I know exactly what you're saying. I've been there. I've done it. This is what we're going to do for you."
Interesting. Okay.
So went back to college, weighed that offer, gave me an offer I couldn't refuse. And I took it and I started for a company called EarthTech at the time.
Okay.
Okay. Eventually, EarthTech was bought by AECom. And so
Big firm. Yeah. Big firm.
yep, big firm. Ended up working for EarthTech AECom for 10 years in technical design, in business development, and project management. I actually spent 5 years working in the walls of the city of Chicago of the Department of Construction and Permits, working as a consultant, refining their process, communicating how you get a permit through the city of Chicago, working where we could make it more efficient for the individuals, managing some programs. I actually managed all of the consultants that were in on the floor at the Department of Construction and Permits that were from my firm. did the training of all the new project managers. And so I spent 5 years doing that. And so I got really a strong understanding of building practices, code, those kind of things. I started on the smaller side, working on residential and interior build outs, and I ended on the very large side in the Department of Construction and Permits, doing permits for the skyscrapers,
Sure, sure.
large that were getting built in the city of Chicago. So I had a large exposure to that. That was the first 10 years of my career. And then my wife said, I'd like to move to Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Okay. She was a fan of Breaking Bad. She wanted to live in Walter
no,
White's
that's
hometown.
where she was from.
Yeah, okay.
That's where she
All
was
right.
from. So we were going back to Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I don't know if you're familiar with Albuquerque, New Mexico, but architecture isn't, I would say, the forefront of kind of what New Mexico is about, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They're about green chili and, warm weather.
I'm as far as Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul are based in New Mexico and Albuquerque. That's as far as my knowledge gets. So you've gone from Muncie to Chicago to Albuquerque. This is interesting. Keep going.
Yeah. So I told my wife, I said, well, it's about time to start using my marketing and sales side of my career.
Yeah.
So I made a short stint, got my real estate license, sold some real estate for a little bit, but realized it was about 2010. The market hadn't quite recovered yet. And so I ended up working for a company called Unirac.
Yeah.
And what Unirac was is that they're a company who sells solar racking. That either goes on residential, commercial roofs, or utility scale applications.
Yeah,
right?
know a few reps for them. Absolutely. Yes. Know the product. Yes.
Yeah. And they were owned by Hilti at the time.
Yeah.
Okay. So really stayed kind of in the building industry just a little bit. Did really well at Unirac. Started off in inside sales, moved my sales as a channel marketing specialist, then to a marketing specialist, to marketing project manager, to the manager of marketing for North America for Unirac.
Nice.
That was about a 7-year stint there. And so then I found myself saying, I had someone reach out to me, and I was getting very heavily recruited by a window and door company called Raynars.
Yep, know them too. Okay.
International company. They're a force to be reckoned with in the European side of the market.
Sure.
And they had entered into the U.S. Not too long ago. This is about 2015. Spent about 3 years with them. And then I actually met Jan Hulen, who is currently now the president and general manager of Q-Railing North America at that location. And then Jan and I got to talking, and I basically started at Q-Railing in 2021.
Nice. Okay, so
2020. Sorry.
So 2020.
This is my third year, right? So.
Well, Jan's a very good man, and obviously you saw something in you with your past and especially experience, and now it makes a little bit of sense that you especially with your knowledge and your breadth of knowledge of how you came to be, just because you've worked in so many different aspects of our world, from the architecture side, and the marketing side, that now I get why you have what you have and the chops that you have. So it's an interesting path. I like that. And the success that you're having. And so let's talk about Q-Railing, because Q is just has been on a roll these last couple of years. Interesting, around the same time that you rolled into town in 2020, it was growing and growing, but now it's been kind of like on steroids. So talk about what Q does and what's been the driver of this great growth.
So Q-Railing is an international company, right? We're founded and headquartered out of Germany. Was founded in 2006 and came to the U.S. in 2009.
Right.
They're an international provider in many markets, in addition to Germany, all over the world, including the U.S., for a variety of balustrade solutions, including base shoe, base clamps, adapters, post and rail solutions, aluminum rail solutions, to basically hit all the three major markets, right? Residential, light commercial, heavy commercial, high rise, applications.
Sure.
Q-Railing really does provide what we call the quintessential glass railing, right?
Mhm.
Which is the base shoes and the base clamp adapters. What I really think has fueled the growth for Q-Railing over the past few years is the focus and the business plan that Q-Railing has taken. Okay.
Yeah.
Q-Railing does not desire to be the largest company in the market. What we desire to do is find new customers, service them better than anyone else out there in the market, giving them possibly everything they can need and want, along with our products. And what I really think has fueled our growth, if I were to give you a one-word answer, it's people.
Yeah.
It's our people. It's our company and our culture that the customer comes first, and we give them that little extra service that they need, right? Now, the other thing that I think is helping fuel our growth is the diversity in our go-to-market strategy. So we go to market in a multitude of different ways. We go to market, we sell just straight components, piece and parts.
Yeah.
To installers that may come, to the back of our factory, even make a will call pickup. We sell prefabricated products where if you want to post with clamps and saddles and all of that pre-installed, we'll do that as well. And largest and biggest growing part of the market is our project solutions services.
Yeah.
And that's where we'll basically take the whole project from basically the plans that are given to us. We'll decide what system is the best. We'll engineer the anchors, we'll engineer the glass, we'll engineer the balustrade system. We'll stamp those entire sets. We'll put together shop drawings. We'll do any prefabrication, any prepackaging necessary in the field, and we'll send that entire product out to the market in that fashion.
Perfect. Perfect.
And I think that's where the diversity of my experiences has come into play, and where have found a niche, and not only I started here as a director of marketing, but then moved into the director of project solutions, because my experience very closely relates to all of those steps that we do to bring the product to market in that area, right?
Nice. Yep. Yeah, nice. And so if you missed it, I'm with Charles Lubecke, Director of Marketing and Project Solutions at Q-Railing. You can see them online at q-railing.com and also q-na.com for their information and their product line. And speaking of products, I mean, so you gave us the background of everything you've got going on. It is a soup to nuts sort of thing. The support is tremendous. What's the hot individual product that you've got going on right now? Is there something that's standing out amongst all the different railing and balustrade offerings you have?
I think it's base shoe. I think people are really trying to modernize these remodels and these renovations of these buildings.
It is a difference maker for that. Really, it really changes things. That look is huge. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I think you're right.
No,
I think
that's
you're
fine.
Right.
You took the words right out of my mouth. That's what it is. It really opens up the views.
Yep.
It really modernizes the exterior of the buildings. And one of the things that people don't realize is that base shoe is very easy to install, right? Once you get past engineering your anchor down to either a concrete or a steel substrate, it's very easy. It's placing the base shoe. It's putting in the glass and the gaskets, and it's a few component, easy to install system. And there's a universal language in the glazing industry for base shoe, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that I think really is hot for Q-Railing is our Q-Disc. It's a unique proprietary element that we have in our base shoe that you insert every about 10 inches where the glass is placed. And it allows you to actually level the glass. So it gives you some little bit of final adjustment needed that you have in the field. And it's really been a game changer for us. People have really adapted to that. It's moving away from the wedge or the taper lock, or putting in, we have the same thing, wedge taper lock, or what is even some of the things that we have seen is it's really moving away from cementing in the glass, right? That's technology of yesteryear.
Yeah.
So it's really making those advancements. So I would really say it's base shoe.
Cool.
Is really what we're seeing take off.
And I think the biggest key is it really dramatically turns the look of the building. And people want natural light so badly. And you have this great, great place, whatever the case may be, and then it gets blocked by an old-fashioned sort of railing or old-fashioned sort of, framing on a railing. And, Q definitely with this product changes that game a little bit. So good for you guys. I can see why that's popular. Very nice. So switching things up a little bit, a fun one for you. Curious, if you could be any fictional character, what would it be and why?
So I'm just going to preface, you gave me these questions ahead of time.
I
right?
did. This is a tough one.
And
So
this,
I had to give this one to you ahead of
this
time.
was a challenging one, Max.
Yes.
And I had,
well, you're a marketer. You're a marketer. I figured I wasn't going to give you what your favorite food is because you're a marketer. You could think of something good, and if I gave you time, you'd come up with something. That's why I got confidence in you.
Yeah. So I asked some people, if you were to think of me as a fictional character, would it be? And
yeah.
I got some out there answers, but I really did think about this, and I said, let me think about some of the personality traits and the things that embodies me as an individual. Yeah. And then that's where I'm going to come up with this answer. And so I'm going to start with some of the characteristics that embodies this individual, right? So one of the things through my professional career that I've always done is I've always taken counsel of the wiser people that are in the room, right? Yeah. And I've always had an opportunity to work what I would say is some top caliber individuals out there.
Yeah.
I've worked for some very large organizations, AECOM, Hilti.
Sure. Yeah.
EarthTech was owned by Tyco.
Yeah.
So no small organizations by any means. I even did my my marketing internships at Motorola, which is a name of the past, right?
Yep.
The other thing is that all the knowledge that I've been giving recently, I've seen myself passing down.
Okay.
Right. To the people who work for me. And I always, as a manager, have one thing, is that I want to be accessible. And when I end a call with anyone I work with, I say, if you have any questions or anything, give me a call. I'm here to answer or to chat with you.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
And so when I think about this, I also worked with an individual, and he called me his young Padawan.
Aha. Okay.
And it was an individual when I was at Raynar's, and he'd been a long-term window and door guy and worked for Colby for so many years, and he taught me all the technical things about it. And so my answer is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I love it.
Right?
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi was taught to be a Jedi through the council, and then he was given his own Padawan and still continues to grow and take counsel by the wiser people that surround him. And I think that embodies who I am as an individual.
You nailed it. Obi-Wan. It's perfect. Very cool. Very, very cool, my friend. I love it. And my son's a huge Star Wars nut. I can't wait to tell him I talked to the glass and glazing industries version of Obi-Wan today. So that's perfect. That's a fantastic one. Couple more questions. I got Obi-Wan, also known as Charles Lubecke, Director of Marketing and Project Solutions at Q-Railing. Glass Build. We got to talk about Glass Build. So the last couple of years, you as Director of Marketing have created the best booths in two different categories, best in show, fantastic exhibits, really attractive to the users of the show, the attendees of the show, voted by those attendees, a select group of judges as best in show in two different categories 2 years in a row. What do you have on tap for this year, my friend? What are we going to see? I know you don't want to give it all away because we got to be surprised when we go to Atlanta in October, but what do you got up your sleeve?
So I think we have some product launch, some enhancements to our base shoe.
Super.
Product line. We have a product coming out called Strong.
Okay.
Which is an enhancement to our Max base shoe. It is actually 30% more robust. Our Max base shoe is known as the market as the product that can handle windscreens up to 96 inches tall.
Nice.
So we really think that Strong will bring a product to the market of windscreens that will be over 10 feet.
Okay.
We will be featuring that in our booth, right? I think we're going to bring a mid-century modern feel to our booth here. We're going to change it up a little bit. I think we went classical, European, clean, sleek, modern lines. And I think the reason why is because one of the other things we're working on here at Q is we're working on a new headquarters space.
Wow, great.
So we're going to bring some of our elements that we're going to incorporate into our new office as part
Okay,
of our booth. So I think we're going to see that.
super.
I think we're going to bring some technology elements. I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do, but there will be some exciting things there. I got to be honest with you, Max. It's going to be a little hard to pull a three-peat.
Yeah, it's the challenge. And I have to, the one thing that I got to give you a ton of credit for is that I'm there, a few days before the show starts. And so I see when these booths come up from nothing, and I see who's out there humping and hustling, and everybody's out there. It's hot because there's no AC in there. So folks who show up on the first day of the show and everything's beautiful and lit, they don't know what happened the last few days before that when it's hot and miserable and there's stuff everywhere. Where I give you a ton of credit is you are in the trenches. You are in the trenches. You are getting your hands dirty. I come over and say hi. I get to say hello. You kind of wave at me. We get a few words, and you are back at it like like the Energizer Bunny. So you're definitely not standing 10 feet away pointing things out. You get your hands dirty. You've built incredible booths, and yeah, if you can pull off a three-peat, great. But I do think it's exciting that you've got things like Strong coming to your booth. I look forward to seeing it, and really excited to see you and the team again at Q-Railing at Glass Build. So kudos to you in the past, and excited for what we got in October at Glass Build. So awesome. And so speaking of Glass Build, just one of the things I think that you picked up on it as a director of marketing, that there's an importance to an event like that because you can get your messaging out. That's how I see it. But why is it important for you and for Q-Railing to be involved in an event like Glass Build?
Well, I think one, it's as you said, right? I think it's brand presence, first of all, right? I think trade shows are coming back. The presence is really starting to, get back to pre-COVID numbers. And I think the second thing is not everyone sees your products until they get to a trade show, right?
Right.
It's touch and feel. And I think the key is that you got to make the experience fun for individuals.
And that's it.
And
no, go ahead.
you got to make it fun and memorable. So when they walk away, they think about your company and they associate that and it resonates with them. And I think that's the key is you got to be unique, right? You don't have to be big, just unique.
Yeah. And I think, for those who haven't been to Glass Build, first off, shame on you. And second off, if you saw Charles's booth with Hugh, he did mix product with fun and memory and memorable things. So you got the feeling by seeing the product, touching the product, getting to really, if you wanted to get down on your knees and get down and dirty with the product. But there was also these other angles there where you also had a little bit of fun and a chance to blow off some steam. A chance to win a hat, win different prizes, play some games, get immersed in something different and take your mind off of it. But the key was, you didn't leave there without seeing the latest and the greatest. And that's where I give you a lot of credit. You mixed that, seeing the product, and you're right. We can all go online and look at things, and online's fantastic. Web presence are great. Nothing can replace seeing things in person, touching them and feeling them. And you do that, you execute that very well, my friend.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And I think a lot of manufacturers do a great job.
Yeah.
I think it's very impressive. I mean, I come from an industry that, has Solar Power International. It's one of the biggest trade shows out there. Right?
Been to a show, been to that show once in Anaheim. Yep.
Yeah. And I think Glass Build is starting to get to that point where it rivals it. And all of these booths really do have a very large engagement element. I mean, the machinery section alone is just, it's awe-inspiring that these people bring these machines. They set them up in 2 to 3 days, and it's crazy, right? But it's really where they can see these things all at once and make some really good buying decisions or strategic decisions for their next business year, right? I think it's an important thing.
No doubt. And it's something, if you've never been, it's a heck of an event because you can see so much. All right. So I know you're busy. You wear a lot of hats, and it's been a crazy week. Then, when we're recording this, we're just a few days out from the hurricane that hit Southern California, the earthquake, the hurricane, tropical storm. So I know you're buried. got to ask you about the rest of this year and into next year. What's Q-Railing looking like for 2024? How you feeling about the industry, the forecast? What's your gut feel on the whole economic scene out there?
So I do think the economic scene is rearing its head slightly. I think it's more into the residential, light commercial, kind of smaller area. And I think we've seen that because interest rates have slowed some things down, right?
Yeah.
I think in the project business, we're growing. I really haven't seen it slowing down. I converse with my customers and they're busy as they've ever been, right?
Nice.
And so I don't think the pedal is coming off in the larger project sector, at least right now. We have a fairly good, healthy pipeline coming into 2024. We're very positive on our outlook for 2024. And as I said, as a business, our forecast is really, we can balance the ebb and waves of the different sectors in the market because of the way we have our company structured. But I'm fairly optimistic that I think we'll start seeing things level out, and I think we'll start seeing the component business really to pick up here in 2024. And you know, I just don't see any signs from my perspective in the way that we've been conversing with our, you know, the personas, the installers, the architects, the general contractors, the glazers, that we've really seen the slowdown coming. We don't see it.
Beautiful. All right. Well, this has been good. It's been good to get to know you. I've been with Charles Lubecke, Director of Marketing and Project Solutions over at Q-Railing. Catch them online, q-railing.com, also q-na.com. Part of the Charles is part of the U.S. Leadership Council and members over there at Q. Hey, from beginnings at Muncie, Indiana, as a Ball State Cardinal, I'm a fellow MAC guy at Ohio U, so I have a lot of respect for anybody in the MAC conference, all the way to Southern California, and also winning some things at GlassBuild and all you're doing at Q-Railing. Thank you so much, Charles. This has been an absolute blast getting to know you, and good things ahead, my friend.
Thank you, Max. Really, truly appreciate you inviting me and giving me the call to participate.
Absolutely. I'll see you at GlassBuild in a couple months. All right, that will wrap things up for the guest portion of our podcast. Thank you for checking that out. Joe and Nico and Charles, great guys. Hope to see them all at GlassBuild this fall. Looking forward to that. That's going to be a tremendous show in Atlanta. That is October 31st to November 2nd. Please sign up today and check that out at glassbuild.com. The TV note, I don't have a lot for you. The writer strike's starting to affect me a little bit. I don't know. I've been watching a lot of different documentaries, mostly sports, but a couple that if you haven't seen, Only Murders in the Building. It's been out for a few seasons. The third season's just out now. Really good. That's on Hulu. Love Steve Martin Short, and Selena Gomez. They do a great job. And then Lioness, Special Ops on Paramount Plus. It's a typical Taylor Sheridan sort of vibe. Very simple, put together, but interesting action. Goes pretty fast. Good treadmill show is what I would say for that one. And then it's called Lioness Special Ops on Paramount Plus. All right, that will do it for me. Thanks to myglassclass.com for sponsoring this podcast. Check them out at myglassclass.com for the best training in the glass and glazing industry, 24/7, 365. Can't miss that. And otherwise, we will see you soon on the next edition of the From the Fabricator podcast, and we'll see you at GlassBuild too. Make sure you sign up right away. Thanks, everybody.
Oh, the music is stopped.